Cecilia. Thank you for talking with me today.
It's a pleasure to be with you, April. This is just one of my many designs. Because I can draw, it's given me just such an advantage in my life as a permaculture designer who gets paid and gets customers, because I can get a vision of someone's house, I can draw it up and show it to them. Words will not explain, and until something in their heart has fallen in love with my design, it will not get built. Solitude, which is a renewable resource, something to do, something to give meaning.
Yeah.
Levels, the kind of things that I love to design. If people are dispirited, inoculate them with people who've got a mission. So that's just a little example of the kind of designs I do. And now I've got 5 slides of the Japanese culture that inspired me.
Right.
Ready?
Yeah.
Jugakuen, the free school garden, has students that become mayors and do wonderful things in their communities and in their world. It's got these very humble, small, incredibly beautiful buildings. Its beauty was off the planet. And I said, how was this made so beautifully when Japan was so poor in the 30s? And it's obviously the 30s. How did it get so beautiful? And I'm looking, and he said, oh yeah, this really famous American designer came, American architect, and he kind of almost donated his work. And suddenly it's so obvious who the architect was. It was Frank Lloyd Wright.
Yes.
And great design generates life, and it does for decades and centuries to come. And this design was just so good. It was the size of children. It hasn't needed renovation in 90 years because it was built so well. When the bell goes for lunch, all the girls go and climb trees. And they've got all this protocol and sociability. May I please climb your tree? Sure. And social structure. And they're learning about taking risks and getting along with other girls. And all the boys either play soccer or play in the mud. And half the girls also play in the mud. That's the other thing they do. After lunch, a bell goes and all the children run and they get a cleaning thing, and all together they clean their school, and they're laughing and screaming and having fun and taking risks. Like an Aussie school wouldn't let children hang out the window to clean it, but these children know how much they weigh. They know where their balance is going. They're focused on what they're doing. They're highly aware of their impact on the world, Japanese children. It has its good and bad sides. Japanese always feel they're being watched, which is why they are so compliant. Always wear a mask when you're sick so you don't infect others. Always take off your shoes on the tatami. So this is an example of high Japanese culture, the good stuff. There's also the Japanese socializing, which is the bad stuff, the propaganda. The reason why Japan is number 80 in the World Happiness Index. So the cultivated culture is the culture they learn from tea ceremony and martial arts, and it's the really precious stuff that they pass on to children. And the default culture is just, what culture uses to get people working hard and giving their life for Japan Inc. So here we are with an example of Japanese culture happening. The kitchen! Like, this is just to cook hamburgers for lunch. The middle school children are cooking for all the other children. The reason the children are free to cook without an adult in sight is they've got the processes down pat. It's like Toyota. They put on their masks, they get all dressed up, all their little shoes are lined up, they put on gum boots. So there's no hygiene worries. There's a list of all the things needed, and it all works. Kids are joking and having fun. This kitchen has a wood-fired rice cooker, huge, that can cook rice for 200 children. And it's been working for 70 years. The children collect acorns, feed it to their piggy, and one day there's the send piggy to a better world, and piggy becomes lunch. And this is just part of their school days. This is the final slide I have to show you about the culture that I fell in love with. And so here's the children doing what they do every lunchtime, playing in the mud. And I'm going to ask you, what do you notice is extraordinary about this picture of children playing in the mud? Their clothes are clean.
Yeah.
Yes. And what's the implication of kids playing in the mud every day with clean clothes? This was so big for me. Kids can have fun in the mud and not get dirty. These children have dirt on their palms of their hands, the soles of their feet, and they know the impact of their actions. They know the velocity of the mud and the trajectory of the splatter. They know how to not make their friends dirty. They know how to have fun, be creative, make tunnels, make other worlds, and then just wash their hands and go back to the class. They can have the best of both worlds. They can have the brick-like structure of learning, and their mother doesn't have to be washing clothes all the time. And they can, just go and pick things up and they won't get things dirty. They can hug each other and not dirty each other. So it's like maximize the fun you can have manipulating the world and minimize the waste that does no one any good. Like, it doesn't benefit you to have dirt all over your clothes, and it disbenefits you because other things get dirty and it restricts what you can do. It's just natural for them to play in the mud in a way that doesn't dirty things. They're not thinking about it. My permaculture that I teach now for people's homes is you spend a few weeks doing shitsuke, second nature, and soon to wash, dry and put away dishes is second nature. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't feel effort. To put the casserole in a clear glass small dish and put it in the fridge so that the fridge is manageable is second nature. You don't resent the effort because you know it's worth it. So Toyota's all about reducing any action that doesn't result in something the customer would pay for. Don't design a screw that needs 5 turns if all you need for reliability is 2 turns. That's a waste of the processor's time. So that is my slideshow of just a tiny little glimpse of a beautiful culture that combines creativity with regularity and routine. And walking through this school, I hear children singing, I see sculptures on windows drying. The world needs creative people to be the boss of all the social justice agencies, all the government agencies that just make stupid rules. That's where we want creative people to go. So this is my permaculture, getting creative people in positions of power and supported so that the big system thinking is being used to solve real social problems, family violence, health problems.
Wonderful.
Bye-bye.